We live in a really scary world. Like, I am terrified of spiders. Well, at least somebody didn't turn out the lights. Oh, I hate the dark. That's better. Let's talk about fear. Dun, 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 dun. The movie Jaws. Very scary. As you will see, we are a nation of people battling with fear. What kind of phobias are there? What causes us to be afraid? And what goes on in our minds when we're afraid? What about the wild and wacky phobias? And we all have fear of some kind. What can you do about yours? Phobialist.com tells us that there are over 600 phobias. Gallup in 2001 polled 1,016 people to determine the top 5 fears. They list number 5 as what is probably the most well-known of all phobias. Yes, arachnophobia, the dreaded fear of spiders, made popular by the movies Arachnophobia and Eight-Legged Freaks, both of which I love to watch, although they give me the shivers. My father, on the other hand, has a major fear of spiders, and has been known to scream like a girl when But what causes this fear of arachnids? Sometimes fear is a good thing. It keeps us out of danger. Indeed, anthropologist Lynn Isabel observed primates' reaction of whooping when confronted by toy snakes. This helps protect the troop from serious threats. But sometimes fear is far from helpful, such as arachnophobia. Neuropsychologist Joseph Ledoux describes how a learned response called Pavlovian conditioning can become part of our everyday lives. He placed a rat in a small cage and played a sound. Everybody dance now! Dun, dun, dun. Actually, that song by Bob Sinclair probably wasn't the sound that was played. Soon, the rat ignored the sound, but when a very small electric shock accompanied the sound, the rat would exhibit a fear response, such as freezing. Like he's doing now. Next, just the sound would make the rat freeze, as he associated the sound with the shock. The same thing happens with arachnophobia. Not the spiders being scared, but humans. Perhaps you've had a bad experience with a spider, like my dad scraping. You would then be conditioned to associate tarantulas and spiders with fear. Alternatively, we can be socially conditioned or indoctrinated from a young age that spiders are dangerous and that we should stay away from spiders. This fear sticks with you your whole life. Marcus Witt, in his book, How to Overcome Fear, says that fear is a prominent part in our everyday lives. Our very vocabulary says, I'm afraid my children won't turn out well, afraid I'll be in debt, or afraid I won't get a good GPA. Now for the 4th worst phobia. It is claustrophobia. The American Institute of Mental Health says that 1.8 million adults suffer from the fear of confined spaces. I think most people should be scared of an old elevator that locks you in and takes you to the Twilight Zone. But what goes on in our minds when we're in a tight spot? Jeffrey Brantley, in his book, Calming Your Anxious Mind, describes how fear operates. Imagine a wheel. At its hub is a tiny organ deep in the brain called the amygdala that orchestrates all the effects of fear. Spanning out of the hub are many spokes, which represent tracts of neurons passing information from the brain and body. The outer rim of the wheel, your senses, picks up danger and alerts the amygdala, which activates the fear system, causing shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, sweating, and wide eyes. In claustrophobia, the fear system has become overly activated, as with other phobias. Now for the third worst phobia. It is acrophobia, the fear of high places. Imagine standing at the edge of a tall building, peeping down over a 2,000-foot drop. I think that might make most people's legs shake. But what about the wild and the wacky phobias? These are just some of them. Phobialist.com tells us that blenophobia is the fear of slime. This can stick to some people. Pteronophobia is the fear of being tickled by feathers. Hopefully birds don't suffer from this fear. Arachibutterophobia is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of the mouth. And my personal favorite, the most wild and wacky of all, hippopotomonstrosascrotaliophobia, the fear of long words. After that, the word acrophobia seems rather short and simple. The runner-up and second worst phobia in the United States is glossophobia. It would really be a shame if I had glossophobia, because that would mean I was terrified of public speaking. Imagine standing at a podium, ready to give a speech with 100 people staring you in the face. For a lot of people, this is their worst nightmare. It has been said by Jerry Seinfeld that some people would rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. Gallup says that 40% of Americans fear public speaking. But is there any cure for glossophobia or any other phobia? For too many, living in fear has become a way of life. But doctors and psychiatrists say that there are two main ways to reprogram someone's fear: extinction and implosion. Extinction exposes you to increasingly real elements of fear. You might start with a thought of something you're afraid of. Next, a picture of the frightening thing. You could then look at the frightening thing from a distance. And before long, you could either let one walk over your hand or actually give the speech. Implosion, on the other hand, throws you into a situation of the very thing that terrifies you. For example, giving a speech with no experience to 1,000 people. But when you survive, you're no longer afraid. Or you've just had the worst experience of your life. Number one, the worst phobia, the most common of all. Gallup says that over 50% of Americans fear them. It is ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes. Since my family and I emigrated from our home in England, my eldest brother has developed an irrational love of snakes. And my family has acquired over 20 snakes that are housed in our basement as pets. It's just me with 3 of our snakes. Where I live in Massachusetts, it's easy to avoid a snake. Just don't go into our basement. But many people do suffer from the fears of snakes. Indiana Jones is afraid of nothing except snakes. Other people suffer from the fears of terrorists, needles, flying dogs, thunder, or the dark. As you have seen, we are a nation of people battling with fear. Maybe you're in the 2/3 of Americans that Haven says are warriors, concerned about their children's safety, fearful of what tomorrow may hold for your finances. However, we do not have to let that fear of spiders, enclosed spaces, high places, public speaking, or snakes drag us down. Instead, we can give it to the one on high. Isaiah 41:13 says, "For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand, and says to you, do not fear, I will help you." Next time you have fear, you can call on God. He will take away the fear and give us peace. Not only in the big things, but also the little